The show begins as our protagonist, Murat Siyavus, plays some tape recordings while looking very anxious. In the recording, the narrator talks to himself, speaking without pause on various unrelated subjects. Hearing this unrelated jabbering, Murat starts to pant, as if struggling to breathe, and measures his temperature through a thermogun. When his body temperature reaches unusually high at 40.1 degrees Celsius, he stops the recorder and immediately puts a wet cloth on his forehead to cool down. Following this, he starts recording his own experiences, pointing out that he isn't experiencing any synesthesia or epileptic seizure, but has been going through vivid dreams. Through Murat's narration, we learn that the world is suffering from an epidemic named AIDS that has plagued the entire world. The person with AIDS starts speaking rubbish and keeps on talking about unrelated topics until their brain no longer functions properly. This semantic virus started 8 years ago, and the cure has not been found. Due to the outbreak of this virus, the communication industry broke down, and financial depression led to the collapse of the entire system. There was panic and chaos everywhere, and to control the outrage that the people had, an organization came into being. The Anti-Epidemic Institution, or AEI. This organization divided the cities into safe zones and danger zones. The officials forcefully put the infected people in quarantine zones and took them away from their families, which led to widespread outrage. There are different types of quarantine facilities shown, and Murat tells the audience that the AEI saw this virus as an opportunity to seize total power. We then learn that the protagonist cannot contract the AIDS, even if he wishes to. After getting introduced to the AEI, we see Murat walking on the streets, smiling. A few meters away, he sees a girl at an empty bus stop, and he cannot help but stare at her as she reads a book. He has an out-of-body vision where he is standing right in front of the girl. Suddenly, the girl looks at her, and he starts walking away until he sees a white flower growing on the crevice of the concrete pavement. Looking at the flower, he gets the courage to talk to her, and tells her there is no bus arriving at the stop. The girl just smiles and continues reading her book. We see a montage of philosophy on the little white flower, which would remind anyone of literature. When Murat reaches his mother's apartment, we get to know that the flower he sees is called Galanthus byzantinus, an endemic species of flower to Istanbul. He lives with his mother under a false name and brings Sudoku books for her, and some other things, along with some tapes. However, his mother asks him if he brought soap, and he says no. She then tells him that her friend, Makbil, wants them to visit her home, to which he shakes his head in disagreement. They argue a little, after which his mother asks him to bring soap, and he leaves the place. At the convenience store, he meets an infected lady who starts jabbering at him. Noticing something wrong, the store cashier turns on the alarm and the gates of the store start shutting down. Everyone, including Murat, rushes away from the infected person, who is seen jabbering a lot. In this dystopian world, everyone wears noise-canceling headphones to protect themselves from the virus. Noticing a young kid without headphones, he rushes back to the infected person and saves the life of a young child by giving him his headphones. However, Murat is exposed to the virus through the woman who is jabbering right at his face. He then runs out of the store, and his head starts heating up. But he somehow manages to regain his composure and heads back home. Sometimes later, the AEI seals the store and takes the woman away in an ambulance. An officer notifies a senior AEI official, Anton Teraksai, about a guy who was exposed to the virus but walked off as if nothing had happened to him. In the next scene, Officer Anton enters his secret communication base, where several newspaper clippings and files related to a secret project named Project X are kept. Apparently, the people of Project X tried to find a cure for this semantic virus. However, most of them went underground or died in a fire. This team was made up of researchers, and Murat was a part of it along with his friend Özgür, who perished in the fire. Meanwhile, Murat and his mother go to Makbil, whose son is infected by the virus. She has kept him hidden at her place and cannot even take him to a doctor for fear of getting reported. A little later, they are joined by Makbil's grandson, Arif, who tells Murat that he believes Özgür is not dead. Outside the apartment, Arif shows Murat a photograph of Özgür and gives him a packet of tablets. On the tablets, we see the same symbols that Özgür had tattooed on his arms. It is revealed that Özgür helped Murat when he was infected by giving him his skull, which protects him from getting infected but gets hot from time to time. Özgür is the only person who can turn Murat into the normal human he was before, as our protagonist can't seem to take it anymore. When he shares this with his mother at their apartment, his mom asks him to take the initiative and do something about it. Following this, Murat looks at photographs, and the scene shifts back in time. We learn that he was married to a girl who also worked with him in Project X. In the meantime, Anton gets more information about Murat, He learns that Murat had been to the hospital 14 times for high fever after the fire that killed many of the Project X members. After that, he vanished, and the AEI never caught him. The following day, Murat and Arif go to meet the latter's friend, Erol. He is a smuggler who can get the duo into the AEI office to hack their system. Here, Arif tells him they need information about a certain person. They want to check if he is alive or not. In response, Erol says this can be done, but the price of the service is too high. Since they can't afford it, Erol comes up with another plan. He says they have a self-service offer too, where he will get one of them into the RE office, but won't be responsible after that. Finally, all of them agree on the plan. On the other hand, Anton gets the headphones that Murat used to save the child. On the headphones, there is a specific serial number through which they find his home address. Meanwhile, Murat decides to be the person who goes to the AEI headquarters. He successfully enters the building and logs into their computer with the help of one of Erol's partners. Here, he opens Oscar's file and finds out that the body in the picture is not his because it does not have the arm tattoo that Oscar had. To his horror, he also finds out that the AEI is after him and tries to delete the file. Panicked, he forgets the password to the file and runs away from the headquarters in a hurry. Elsewhere, Anton takes a special team to Murat's apartment despite his senior officer telling him not to dwell on Project X much. At the apartment, the officials question his mother, but she subtly sticks a red pine curing cone on the window. She hopes that her son will see this and take it as a signal that he is in danger. Fortunately, when Murat reaches his home, he notices this sign on the window and runs away. After successfully escaping the chase, Murat visits his psychiatrist. When he first comes to the office, he blabbers nonstop about how going to Makbul's house was a bad idea. He talks at such a fast pace that the psychiatrist gets worried that he might be infected and goes to ring a warning alarm. Just then, Murat's old friend, Erdem, comes out and stops his junior from doing so. When the two friends are alone, Murat tells Erdem that he has a special condition and that the AEI is after him. However, the doctor feels like his friend is having intrusive thoughts. Offended, our protagonist starts feeling like coming to him was a mistake and begins to leave, but the doctor asks him to stay at his place for the night. Meanwhile, back at Murat's mother's place, we see that Anton is asking her several questions about her son. Additionally, the senior officer orders his men to take all suspicious items from the apartment. In the AEI headquarters, the chief of the organization, Fazıl, is seen planning to open a lab soon. But there's a problem. A group known as +1 might be planning something big against the AEI. Fazıl, who is Anton's superior, also gets to know about his unauthorized raid. He asks his deputy, Canon, to keep an eye on the matter and relay all the information since Anton is clearly onto something. On the other hand, Murat goes to the city to find clues. Just as he is being interrogated by AEI officers, a bomb explodes nearby. The attack is carried out by the rebel group +1 and creates chaos that allows him to run away. A little later, he reaches a tattoo parlor where Oscar got a tattoo. However, the tattoo artist gets restless when Murat comes and tells him Oscar might not be dead, but he has no clue where he could be. However, the tattoo artist's girlfriend gives him a hint. She says Murat should search for his friend in the 6th zone, an unsupervised area out of the safe zone where a lot of infected people roam freely. Anton brings all of Murat's recordings home and starts reading the labels on them one by one. He comes to know that Project X was working with a level 6 infected patient, which is extremely dangerous. However, the head of the project, Oscar, thought that it would be a good chance to find a cure for the semantic virus. The AEI officer also finds out that Murat cannot get infected, even if he wants to. However, when Anton talks to his commander Fazıl about this, he gets very upset with Anton for disobeying his orders. He asks his subordinate to mind his business and issues an order to capture the +1 militants who were responsible for the bombing. In the meantime, Murat meets with Erol again and asks him to make a fake ID. When the smuggler asks for a hefty price, Murat goes back to Arif's place, where he meets his mother and asks for the money. Just as he is dropping his mother back home, the watchman of the building sees Murat and informs the AEI officers, who start chasing after him. Unaware of the officers following him, Murat meets Erol again, who makes a fake ID for our hero. But as soon as he makes the ID, they are alerted of the AEI showing outside their building. The two pack up their belongings quickly and manage to escape the officers without being seen. Anton tells his colleague that he tried opening Murat's file, but in vain, and suddenly, both of them get information on Murat. Meanwhile, we see, in the next scene, it is revealed that Fazıl, the AEI chief, was the one who caused the fires resulting in the deaths of everyone involved in Project X. On the other hand, Anton too has his own secrets. We see that he lives outside the safe zone and currently, he visits his wife and son, who are both infected but still alive. In some other part of Istanbul, Murat sees that posters with his face are everywhere in the subway as he is now on the wanted list of EI. He panics, but suddenly, the girl from the bus stop comes and kisses him. She holds his hands, and together they board the train. The duo then make their way into the 6th zone and reach a place from where they gaze upon the view of the whole city. Here, the girl introduces herself as Sewell and reveals that she works with the rebel group +1. She tells Murat that +1 needs him, and he could be the one who helps them find a cure. However, Murat gets angry and tells her that she is looking at the wrong person as he cannot help her. He then leaves the premises where she had taken him. Enraged, Sewell tries to stop him by putting herself in danger as she exposes herself to the infected people. Murat quickly runs to help her but finds out she is wearing earbuds to save herself. She then explains how people like her have to use earbuds and are in desperate need of help from someone like Murat. But our hero still does not seem to be interested in helping the +1, so he sticks to his plan and leaves her. As Sewell makes her way to the +1 base, it is revealed that even Arif is also working with the rebel group. Here, she has a conversation with the youngster and asks him who Murat is looking for, but Arif refuses to tell her anything at the moment. On the other hand, Murat goes to his old home here in Zone 6. Inside an old, unkempt apartment, we see his wife's pictures, and a flashback takes us back in time. One day, after returning from work, his wife, Daria, looks very scared and restless. He tries to comfort her and promises everything will be alright. However, he suddenly wakes up in his old bed and we return to the present timeline. But he starts hallucinating once again and sees his wife standing on a treadmill and smiling at him. Elsewhere, AEI Chief Fazil meets another officer, whose identity isn't revealed at the moment. He tells the stranger about Anton, who has discovered someone who he terms as Patient X. It is then revealed that Patient X is Murat, a member of Project X who was exposed to a level 6 infected person, and yet remained immune to the disease. Fazil then announces that they need to find Murat before Anton does, and dispose of him for good. When the scene shifts to Zone 6, Murat gets kidnapped by a group of men from the rebel group +1. They take him to an abandoned warehouse where a girl named Asli interrogates him. Just as they are about to hit him, Sewell comes and saves him. She even apologizes to Murat for everything, and asks if they could start things over. Following this, she takes him to a live broadcasting session for the rebel group. During the broadcast, it is revealed that Sewell was once in love with a guy named Engin. Theirs was a sweet high school love story until the epidemic hit. They were unable to meet, and ultimately, he was shot dead by the AEI after being infected. This story deeply impacts Murat, who is quietly listening to the broadcast. Inside the safe zone, Anton and his junior officer reach the restaurant where Murat's psychiatrist friend Erdem regularly visits. Here, they corner the doctor and threaten him to give out information on Murat. Meanwhile, at the +1 headquarters, Sewell is still trying to convince Murat to help the rebels find a cure. She knows that Murat is immune. Nonetheless, Murat tells her how only his head heats up when he's around infected people, and explains that he is in Zone 6 to find his old friend Oscar. Back at Anton's home, we see that his infected son is injured after he hit his head on the kitchen counter. Unbeknownst to him, someone is following him and keeping an eye on his whereabouts. When he comes back upstairs after helping his child out, he notices a shadow outside his home. He quickly gets alerted and goes out to check on the person. However, he does not find anyone. But we see that the deputy head of EI, Conan, is hiding nearby, keeping an eye on Anton. At the same time, Fazil has got his hands on Murat's ID card and calls someone to ask where they got the card. Before we get an answer about the card, the scene shifts to Zone 6. Murat and Sewell go for a walk to get some fresh air. There, he shows her how his head gets heated up when he exposes himself to a horde of infected people. When he escapes unaffected, the duo laugh, scream, and bond over his immunity. The following morning, Sewell introduces Murat to a group of researchers who work for +1. She has told them he's immune, but he refuses to help them and also tells them they will never find a cure. Disheartened, Sewell pleads with him. Eventually, he tells her he will help the team if she helps him find Oscar. They agree on it, and Asli brings some information about the blue tablets with strange markings. She tells them the pills Murat brought her came from a hotel. Following the information, Murat and Sewell go to the hotel together and talk to the owner, who happens to be a part-time singer and part-time drug dealer. After a while, they are joined by a lady named Yasmin who brings in a stash of blue pills, similar to the ones that Murat has. As soon as she leaves, the hotel owner reveals that they can only meet the manufacturer of the pills through Yasmin. In the final scene, We see Murat and Sewell running outside the hotel, trying to pursue the mysterious Yasmin. However, she comes in a car and eats a blue pill in front of them as if to tease them. Just as they try to approach her, she accelerates her car and leaves them behind. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave 1,000 likes or 100 comments if you'd like us to continue part 2. Thank you.